everyone, this is Debbie from Project 39 Mini Albums. So I've already done a video showing you the teapot that I made and the tea sampler. And here I'm going to show you how to do the mini album. So there is a playlist, so if you'd like to make the other components, you are welcome to, but let me show you how to make this. All right, to make the mini album, I have 2 pieces of chipboard cut 4.5 by 5, and then 1 piece of chipboard 1 inch by 5. I've already put score tape on to save us some time. I've got around the edge and on the top. So I'm doing something different with this mini album. I am not covering it with cardstock. I'm just going to use pattern paper. And this doesn't work on all papers, but this is Country Craft Creations, which is a Bristol vellum. So it will fold and score and bend and take ink very nicely. This piece is 6.5 by 7. It's from the 8 by 8 collection, 6.5 by 7. And I have these 1 inch spacers that I'm using, available from Country Craft Creations, of course. And I am going to peel off the backing. Now what I'm doing is the lay flat cover method. Usually I use cardstock, but this is a small album, and again the papers from Country Craft Creations work wonderfully with this. All right, so I'm making sure my paper is up against the side and the top, and so are my spacers, and I am going to just lay this right up against the side and the top. And before I go any further, so that one I did, so this paper shows. This one I'm going to do so this pretty paper shows. One's going to be for the front, and I'm going to put some other embellishing on, and the other's going to be for the back, and I think it's pretty to see all the beautiful decorating on the paper. Okay, so I'll take my other one, same as before, put it against the side and the top. And I guess I'll do my spacer or my spine real quick. Did I cut this? I guess I could have cut it down some more. I didn't. So since this is 5 inches, this needs to be 7. I'll cut that down to 7. And I'm going to have this as on the spine. Should I have that? That's real pretty. No, I'm going to stick my original plan. I'm taking a 1.5 inch spacer at the side and 1 inch at the top. And I will peel off the backing. I've just used pieces of my score tape sheets, and I guess I could have used my 1 inch score tape, which is fabulous. If you don't have that, it's a good thing to add to your stash. You'll find you use it more than not. Okay, so now that everything's on, we'll remove this. Okay, so now, so here I've got my score tape, or my chipboard on. I'll take my bone folder and find the edge of my chipboard. Then I like to take it and use my surface. And burnish. So I have score lines on the sides. So you can see I have squares on the sides. I'm going to simply take my scissors and cut from one score line to the other and cut those squares off. I just like to go around the perimeter and just make the cuts. I don't like to cut too much, so I find I don't cut enough, and those squares don't always come off. But they're hanging by a thread, so I can just pull them off. But now, to make sure there's not going to be any overhang when we fold this, what I do is take this flap, fold it in, take my scissors, put the top blade against the top of against the chipboard, and just make a little slit. You'll find very little paper comes off, but you won't be able to pull off any more than necessary because your blade is right on the edge. Alrighty, now that I've done that, I'm going to peel off my score tape backing. Oops. And I'm going to take my liquid adhesive. I'm using the Designer Dries Clear Glue from the Art Institute. And I'm just going to go along the perimeter next to the chipboard and then pull this down with my fingers. So again, I've got a little bead of glue right next to the chipboard. I go around the perimeter and then fill this in. At the top, I don't need to fill the whole thing. I forgot about it before because I've got my score tape. Generally, I'll do 2 long sides and 2 short sides. This is such a small album. It's not that important. All right, so there we go. I'm going to just take my bone folder and go along the outside, and there we have a perfect cover every time. I'll do this one real quick while I'm on camera. Okay, and then for my spine piece, I'm going to cut off the rectangles made by the score lines, but don't rush ahead because we treat this one a little differently. So after I cut off the rectangles and any little uh, overhanging bits, then I'm going to peel off a little bit of my score tape that I have on the spine, and I will glue that little piece on top of the spine. I'll glue that down. All right, now I'll grab my scoreboard again, and we're going to attach the spine. I'm taking, this is the outside cover. There's the chipboard. Gonna burnish right next to this chipboard and the spine. I'll peel off this backing. And then I'm going to use glue, and I'm going to put it about 1/4 of an inch away from that spine. I'll put that against the edge, and there's no top and bottom to this. This is going to be the back. We'll do the front first. So I'm putting it close to the edge. I'm leaving just about a 1/16 of an inch between the covers. There's a little bit of a gap there. Burnish here. I will be using this score tape, so it wasn't a waste. All right, now this is upside down, so I need to put this upside down. Oh, I'm sorry, do it this way. It's upside down, so this is upside down. Just make sure you get the orientation right. Hold it up if you need to make sure. I have the score tape, so I don't want to go over that. We'll put this right next to it. Yes, it's upside down. That's correct. And just use my scoreboard to make sure I have it straight and flat up against each other. All right, now I'm going to peel off this score tape. And since this is 5 inches, this is cut 5 inches. It was a leftover piece. It's 3.5, which is wide enough for what I need. So I'm going to add glue. I need some at the top. I'll go down the side and down the center because I know there's no score tape there. I'll go here and here, and then I'll go around the perimeter. And I will just cover this. I'm going to be covering it again. You won't even see it. We put that there. And burnish. And just burnish real well. All right, so now I have my book. There's the front cover, there's the spine, there's the back cover. Isn't that pretty? Pretty. All right, now we're going to add some pages to this. And I suppose I can cover the inside as well. So I have this piece. I'm going to cut this down a little bit. I'll cut it about 4 3/4, and it is 4 inches. I mean, you could do it either way, but for the back cover, I'm going to have that pretty pattern showing. There we go. And then I'll cut something for the front cover. All right, so now I'm going to take a piece of pattern paper. It's already 8 inches wide because I'm using the 8x8 pad, and I have it cut 5 inches, so 5 by 8. I'm going to score it at 1/4 of an inch, at 4, and at 7 3/4. I'll rotate once, so the 5-inch side with the top of the pad facing, or the paper facing the left, and we're going to score at 1/4 of an inch. 4 3/4. So now I'll do a little bit of trimming. Is it easier to see? Well, so there is this tab on the bottom will keep. So I will miter up to there, and then I'll cut off this little teeny corner. And I will cut right on the score line all the way across. Now you can use your scoreboard or your paper trimmer if you want, but that's all I want to do. Well, we can miter here and here, there, and that's already mitered. So what I have is we fold this in half, and fold this part up, and this little tabby here. If we add glue to this and this, it's going to make a pocket, and we've got this piece to add it into our book. And I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. Let's add glue and make this a pocket. Oops. Fold that over. Okay, so it's going to be a pocket to put in the book. I will fold and burnish on this score line and fold it that way and this way. I know it's only 1/4 of an inch, and that's not very much, but it's going to be a small little book, so that's okay. Now I have another piece. This one is 6 by 8. I am going to, all right, I'm going to start with the 6-inch side at the top, the bottom of the paper facing right. I'm going to score at 4 3/4. Then I'm going to rotate that and score it at 3 1/2 and 4 1/4. I will grab our scissors. First, I'll fold this little tab up. So we're going to have a page with a pocket. I'm going to, so we have score line. We'll do it on this side because it's easier to see. We have this score line and this score line. And we've got this little piece uh, on the bottom. There's a score line there and a score line there. So I'm going to cut this in half right up to that score line. And I'm going to cut on the score line there, on a score line there. So on this side, I'm going to fold this up and adhere this little piece, and I'll glue there to make a little pocket. And we'll do the same for this side. It's going to be a smaller piece of paper. It's not going to be even, but that's okay. Nobody will know. I won't tell them. So we'll fold here and burnish. Okay, we'll fold and burnish on these score lines again. And I'm going to take this is 1/4 inch score tape. If you have anything larger, just do 1, but I'm going to do 2, and I'm also going to glue. Want to make sure this gets stuck down. So peel off the backing. Let's grab our little book. So this is going to go right here, and this is a 3/4 of an inch gap between there. That's a 1 inch. Varnish this so we can see a little better. And I'll add glue here in the center, and make sure my folder is correct. Eyeball this and make sure it's centered. That's where that is. And burnish that. And burnish that. See, there's more than enough room here. Okay, now that last piece has that 1/4 inch gusset, and we also have, I made another one exactly the same as that. I'm going to glue this down. Right there. There's that page. And then this is the one we made together. I'll glue that right next to it. There we go. So we've got the front cover. I'll add something there. Inside the back of page 1, page 2, back of page 2, page 3, back of page 3, page 4, and the back of page 4. So you've got 4 pages in our little book. Now we're going to add some more features and decorate. Okay, let's work on the inside front cover first. So I have this piece. This measures 5 by 4 3/8. It's a little less than 5, actually. It fits just on the page. I already lightly inked this up with some walnut stain, and I am simply going to glue this right down on the inside front cover. Oh, if you wanted to, you can make a binding with some ribbon. I am choosing not to, just because I usually do, and I'm not going to this time. So we'll put that on. Then I have this piece. It was a scrap. It measures 2 by 4.5. I'm going to cut it down just a little bit. And I'm inking up the edges. So I'm just gluing it on 3 sides, the 2 short sides and the bottom. And you know what, before I put this down, I'm going to make a notch and ink that too. All right, that'll go on the bottom. Do I want that in here, or should I have just put that like that? I also have this little piece. Which I can fold and burnish. Put it in there. Yeah, let's do that. So I just have this one scrap. I want that to be, no, I don't want it too busy. I'm going to round the corners. So you know it's a folder. I grabbed some cardstock, just a sheet of 8.5 by 11. I cut it down to about 5.5 and then cut that in half to 4.25. So I'm going to score this at 2.75. Around these edges. We're going to make just a little notebook. You could use this, just a little notebook for in here, or you could put little coupons in here, like good for 1 tea, or I'll make you some crumpets, or whatever it is you want to do. I'm going to go ahead and ink up these edges. Now, you of course could use some tea stained paper. But I don't have any of that. And this is fine because it looks old and antique-y. I'll link it in the description box. And I'm going to staple this in. Just put these in here, fold them. I inked up this side a lot. And then we'll add this but first tea to the outside of this book, and that'll go in this little pocket. And that is our first page. Now we'll do something over here. Okay, our next feature is going to be on the front of page 1. So I have a 6.5 by 6-inch piece of paper. At this point, I'm not sure if I'm going to use this side or the other side. We'll see. But with the 6.5-inch side at the top, score at 1/4. Yes, another little border. And 3 3/8. And then we'll rotate it. Score. So we're going to score it at 5 3/4. And then go back and score it at 1 1/4. So 1 1/4 and 5 3/4. All right, I'm cutting off this bottom corner. And this top piece from the score line. I'm mitering it and cutting right here on the score line. Then I'm going to cut, actually we'll cut off this piece entirely. Just go straight on the score line to the score line. And then, so here's the score line. I'm going to cut a little bit to the right hand side of the score line. And I started it a little round motion. It's not perfect, but it'll be okay. And let's cut off this piece. I'm going to fold and burnish on our score lines. I'm going to take my corner rounder around these top corners here. Fold in our tabs. And I'll add glue to the tabs. And I'll add glue to the tabs. And then fold again. And we've got some of that cake. I guess I could have made this shorter. You know what? Let's do that. So this tab part will be an inch. Will that be good? That's okay. Round again. And then what I want to do is put a round element here and have a little tie there. Okay, I'm going to add this. So I cut it out of this paper. I had to find the one, I wanted a small flower. So I found one. I thought it would look cute on there. I added a couple of pieces of scrap paper on the back, inked around the edges, and I am using an eyelet as opposed to a brad. Let me figure out where it's going to go on here. I made a mark. We'll make a hole. And then we'll go ahead and adhere that with my little Weir memory keepers thing. See, it just makes a flat thing. That's why if I did a bread, it would have the legs coming out, and I'd have to cover that, but that doesn't have any legs coming out. And what I can do is just have, could just glue this to the back, and then you could tie it around there. So I'll just actually tape it. Add glue to the back. I know we're hiding that cake. That makes me sad too. And then just center it on this page. Burnish it real well. And just like that. So there we have another feature on the front of page 1. Okay, for this page, I'm going to add a little side flap. So I have a piece that is, and it should be 5 1/4 at 1/4 of an inch, and then 1/4 and 1/4 on the other side. Miter the corners. Fold and burnish on the score line and glue it in. And then I've got this little piece of lace. I'm going to cut to size. And I'm just going to, I'll run a bead of glue down here. And just glue that in. And then I have this little element I'm going to glue down. Glue it up to the top. Oops, I'll need more glue than that. So I'll put that in there and then add something to that pocket. Okay, so for this page, we've got a little bit of a teacup here, but you really can't see it. Out of another corner of that same page, I cut this out. I just fussy cut it. I'm going to add glue to the one side and the other side, and we'll just glue that in here and make just a corner pocket. So there is that. Now this side, I've got the paper that was from there. I cut it down to 5 inches. So it's 3 inches by 5. I'm going to score it with the long side at the top scored 1/2 inch. I'm going to grab a corner rounder, round to the bottom, and ink. And then I'll fold in this top. I know that this is sideways, but that's all right. We're going to tuck this into that pocket and glue it there. So I'll add glue to this flap for the inside. Center it on the page because it's smaller than the page, and just glue that down. So we've got that cute little flap. For the back of that page, I have a 5 3/4 inch piece. We're going to score 1/2 inch, rotate it around, score it 1/2 inch. We're making a belly band with this one. So I'll just fold there, dry fit, make sure it's going to work. Yep, that's fine. And just glue the top and bottom flap. And put that in. I'm not sure if this is going to stay, but we have something to insert there now. All right, that's already got a pocket. I'll add, let's see, what can we add to that? Let's just add this tea, hug in a cup. So I'll just fussy cut this out. Ink around the edges and add that here. But while I'm thinking of it, I should put something on here. Do I want the lace? Yeah, why not? It's pretty. And in this case, I'm going to use double-sided tape, realizing that the glue just took a while to stick. Glue that to the center. And I'm not sure what I'll put in here. I'll put something in there and something in there. And then we have to do our final page. So for the last page, I just cut out this little element and glued it at the top and have it as a tuck spot. So I've got a couple of little journaling cards that you can add into that. And then the final page, I added another element here and made that a corner tuck spot just by gluing it just down at the bottom. And then you can add other things for that little tuck spot. And then I wanted to add some tea into the top loading pocket and one of the flaps. So I just grabbed some scraps that I had. These, this one was 8 inches long by 3, and I scored it just at 3/4 of an inch and 4 1/2. I rounded the corners. I'll show you next how to make these little pom-poms. But I added a tea bag in there, and to the tea bag I put a scallop circle and glued one of the um, tags that were in there. So this will go in one pocket. This was just another 8" by, this is 3 3/8 scrap of paper. And I have another tea bag here with another element in there. And I put a hole in the top and tucked one of the pom-poms. This was not the best looking pom-pom, but it worked. This is 3 by 6 1/4. And this time when I made the hole, I made the hole with in the tea bag. It didn't go into the packet, just that part that was heat wrapped together, whatever. So anyhow, so this will go, I had this in one of these pockets, and then these larger ones went in the top loading pocket. That one. And there's that one. So just so we can add some tea to brighten up someone's day. And then after they finish the tea, of course, you can use this to put in photos or whatever. The cover I finished with, I added a scrap of paper below. That scrap of paper measured 3 by 4 1/2. On top of that, I put some of the lace. I had cut it in half because if you cut it in half, then you get 2 pieces, which are fabulous. And then I just added some score tape to the back of one of these cut-aparts. I had 2 of these cut-aparts. I popped one up. Actually, I just added some leftover chipboard and popped that up and added it to the one that's exactly the same to that. And that bottom one is where I put score tape around and added the lace around it. And that's how I decorated it, very simply, but it's so pretty. It's a beautiful thing. So let's just go inside real quick one more time. There's our little folder. I added an element here. We've already talked about this. And there is the cut apart inside there. We still get to enjoy that cake. Well, we get to look at it. No calories that way. Here's another cut apart I popped up with some chipboard and just put some lace around the side just to add something else. And this is good to put photos on the back of if you want. Here is a cut apart. There's just a folder I made with scrap. That goes in there and there. I added this into our little triangular pocket. I added a piece of the border strip and a cut apart on top of there, and then that'll open like that. That one goes in there. Here I just have another folder made from scraps, and I barely had anything left. I mean, hardly anything once I fussy cut some elements that I used for the front of the teapot. So there's that. And then we've already discussed that. There's the back. And there we are. Okay, I'm going to show you real quick how I made the pom-poms. So I have about a 3" piece of tulle. This tulle is available at Country Craft Creations. It's beautiful. And I think this is doubled. No, this one isn't doubled. And I just make an accordion fold with about a 1/2" accordion. You know how you used to make paper fans as a kid? Just like that. It doesn't have to be exact. And then I take this so it's not doubled up and I fold the whole thing in half. The hard part is holding it down while you're tying something to it. So I'm tying some of that jute twine to it. And then you just take it and you fluff it up. And we already have that jute twine that we can use. Here's that little folder. I put a little hole in it. And then tie that little pom-pom to it. Just add something nice. It's not a flower, you know, it's just something soft and pretty, which goes with a tea for two kind of day. And here I am just adding some elements to the front, and these are those circle punches. I just had a circle punch in my stash. I just glued the very top of it so you could sort of lift it up and still see the name of the tea. And that is the little mini album I made that will fit inside the teapot. It's just a cute little project. The fun thing about it is we didn't use any cardstock except for what was inside this folder, but we used the Country Craft Creations paper to wrap and to make the pages. So quick and easy. So thanks for coming along with me on it. I know it wasn't my normal tutorial. I was sort of doing it by the seat of my pants, but it's fun to do it that way sometimes. Thanks again for watching and have a fabulous day.